We're live. We're live. Is the audio working? The audio is working. Welcome back to What's on Doctor Who on Twitch tonight. Awful name, made by an awful man, but here we are. Day 16, I think. I checked the last video, but in between checking what day it was yesterday and actually typing it in to be the title of this video, I completely forgot. But yes, I'm quite excited. Tonight is the end of the 4th Doctor stuff and the start of the 5th Doctor stuff, and I'm a little bit more versed with most of the 5th Doctor stuff. That's because there's less of it to get lost in, mostly. Shall we go over what episodes are on tonight? So you've got your second half of State of Decay, you've got your Warrior's Gate, you got your Keep Tracking, Big Tracking, you got your Legopolis, K9 and Company for one episode. That's good work, Twitch. They must have got it in the bulk deal for whatever reason. Big Castrovalva, and then Forge of Doomsday and Kinder. So yeah, it's all happening. It's all happening. I'm excited. We talked about State of Decay yesterday. It's the one with the metal vampires. I think it was my pick of the day yesterday, to be honest. Definitely well worth a watch. Warrior's Gate is that weirdy, beardy, arty one. The one that a lot of people didn't like on first viewing, but they say after first viewings that it becomes more watchable. I want to say we've got a whoop from Ewan. Whoop to you, sir. Whoop to you. It's the one with the lion cat people. I feel like he's got a kilt. That's kind of one of my main memories of Warrior's Gate. And I always get it confused with Full Circle, because Full Circle sounds more like what Warrior's Gate's about, other than it's got weird, just kind of horrible 80s Who concepts. Like there's this like race of time sensitive, I feel like they're time sensitive anyway, or time and space sensitive cat people, lion people, really. Thundercats. This like slave class of Thundercats that they like plug into spaceships to get about, and like the humans like horribly mistreat them, and that's kind of like the focus of the episodes. And that's solid Doctor Who work, I think, is all you can really say about that. I think they always say that the script for Warrior's Gate was like super ambitious, and that's I feel like that's a compliment. Even when like ambition and like the £5 budget they had like never worked together, it's still cool that they tried stuff, especially in the E-Space trilogy, because Warrior's Gate, I believe, is the end of the E-Space trilogy, and I bloody love E-Space. E-Space is a hell place to be, and it's only 4 episodes. Like that's another thing about the 4th Doctor's era is like there's bloody loads of it, but a lot of it is only 4 episode chunks, so you're not sitting there for like 8 episodes just hammering away at this like one piece of plot that they've got that they need to like pad out the weeks and months with. But yeah, tune in for lion people, basically. Cat lion people. He's got a wee cute nose, I want to say, and I want to believe he had a kilt, but he might have just had tartan trousers. Keeper of Traken, Keeper of Traken, Legopolis, and Castrovalva are a big vibe, big mood, as the young people say. Keeper of Traken is the one where the Master comes back, and he's like still a corpse, but less of a well put together one, because I guess the corpse, because in Big Deadly Assassin, he was the monster, so obviously he got that £2 part of the budget put onto him. They come back to cat people a lot, says Ewan. Yes, we'll see some cheetah people in 7's episodes, and then in the New Who, there was just all those cat nuns and just the cat folk of the year 5. Is it 5 million or 5 billion? One of Russell T Davis's settings. It's a solid sci-fi concept. It's like taking something usual and making it unusual. But yeah, I want to say he was a cat people. Maybe he was just very hairy. He might have just been very hairy and had big 80s hair, and my brain's just like talking about it like it's a cat, but it's not. What was the McCoy one with the cat? Says the chat. That was Survival. That was the last episode of Classic Who, is about cheetah people and people being turned into cats. There's like an evil cat, like this interdimensional cat that like rips through dimensions. I think he had a crown too. Yeah, there was a big lion man in season 9. I don't know if they were part of the same race. When I was watching season 9, I wasn't looking out for stuff like that, but maybe. Yeah, that was the episode with Rufus Hound and that lassie from the Game of Thrones. She played Ashilda. Is that the one with Ashilda? Oh, I want to think it is, but I think all those episodes kind of merged together. Ewan says he remembers watching Survival when it aired. That's a venerable comment. I was not yet born when Survival aired. How did you feel about Survival at the time? Were you into McCoy at the time? That's a good bit of research there, because you know how people don't like McCoy when they watched McCoy at the time. I don't remember what I was talking about now. Survival, cat people. Oh, aye, we're on to Keeper of Traken. Should be talking about Keeper of Traken. Keeper, right? It was epic. Yeah, he was my doctor. Aye, Seven's a big guy. I love him. Like, in this Twitch stream, you'll have like a day of him, because like we've only got like 5 days left or whatever. But I love Big McCoy. McCoy's a solid dog. Didn't think it was the last one at the time. Yeah, because like they didn't tell anyone. Like there wasn't a big like press release or a big kind of like commotion, because they already had that hiatus that we'll be getting to in a couple nights with 6, and then it just kind of fizzled out, and they added that like amazing the tea's getting cold speech onto the end of Survival. But yeah, I think has Doctor Who been back now longer than it was away? How many? It was like 16 years between. It was 89 to, I mean, 96, but like that doesn't really count. So like 89 to 2005, and now it's been 2005 to like 2019. Yeah, that's a wee bit of a spooky thing to think about, you know, gaps of time. But Kraken has the Master's in it, and he just steals a new body. He just like rocks the Keeper of Traken, who is a dude, who is one of the new companions, Da, like Nissa's Da, just gets body jacked by the Master at the end, and it's like just a horrible way to end the episode. And then like you'd think that Nissa would be like messed up by that for the rest of her appearances, but not really. Like it's never really the focus that like he's just walking about in her Da's flesh suit. I also remember, is his TARDIS like a robot? I feel like there's like is the statue the Keeper of Traken? Yeah, there's like this odd 80s art statue that I feel like is just the Master's TARDIS. And like once you introduce the concept of TARDIS as being like robots, like you can't really go back from that, but then they just did forever because it's never come up again. You know, a TARDIS can take any shape, so why is it always like a box, like a cabinet? Like I know there's been like pillars and stuff, and then there's that one time in Colin Baker's Who, where it was like a pipe organ. But you know, if it can be a robot, just be a robot. That's mainly what I remember of Keeper of Traken for. The Master returns, and it's is it Anthony Daniels, or is that who plays C-3PO? I can never remember the second Master's name. But the Master is like out of lives, like he's just straight up out of lives, and like he's a corpse man with googly eyes, and then he decides he's had enough of that, so he just steals a body, which is like a power he has. I've always chalked it up to the Master being like Doctor Doom, and like Doctor Doom's just a man, but he's like a science guy, so he's done a lot of science, so he can basically do anything with science. But he's also like a master of the mystic arts, like kind of devil summoner guy that's well into Satan and like kind of occult things. So he's also like got all that going on. So I feel like the Master, like I probably wouldn't chalk it up as like a Time Lords can steal your body kind of thing. It's just like, you know, the Master's probably picked up that technique somewhere. I don't know if it's addressed anywhere. I bet it is. You know what Who's like with its fill-in and all its wee gaps. I bet Big Finish has probably tackled that at some point. But yeah, Keeper of Traken. It's a good time. Like that box set. Is it called like Renewals or like? It's not called Regeneration. It's called something like that, and it's Keeper of Traken, Legopolis, and Castrovalva. That's an afternoon. I mean, that'll be like I don't know when it'll be shown on the stream, but like that's a solid chunk of Who, because you've got your kind of tearful goodbyes to Big Baker, and then you're like, oh, this is Big Davidson, and then like there's a lot going on. There's too many companions and stuff because like you pick up Nissa in Keeper of Track, and then you've already got Adric, and then in Legopolis you pick up Tegan. So Tegan, Adric, and Nissa, and I know that's the vibe, but like that's a lot of things going on when it's also you're saying goodbye to the Doctor, Big Baker. We'd probably talk about Legopolis. I like Legopolis. I've watched it quite a lot because it was one of the ones. I don't know if I had it on video or if I just had a tape of it, like a VHS of it. Nice. Keep it track. Logopolis. Logopolis is like it's one of those things where you see they're bringing back Eric Roberts' Master for a River Song story on Big Finish. Yes, I did see that. I love Eric Roberts and everything he does. I would fight for Eric Roberts being the best Master, even though he's clearly the worst Master. Like, if you had to ask me who my favorite Master was, I would laugh and say Eric Roberts, of course. Eric Roberts! Oh my gosh. I imagine Eric Roberts is just, you know how Eric Roberts is in the video for Mr. Brightside, and you know how Mr. Brightside never leaves the UK charts. I imagine that Eric Roberts is just living off that money. That's where he gets his smokes money, is Mr. Brightside. So, like, you say they're bringing back Eric Roberts' Master. I saw that. Are they bringing back Eric Roberts himself? Have they went over to, like, wherever he's, occupying in LA and, bringing him over here to record some River Song stuff? Because that's absolutely magical. Oh, like, give Eric Roberts, because like they give everybody a series in Big Finish, because there's currently like a War Master thing going on with Derek Jacobi, is that his name? I'm bad with names, but like the War Master's got a series. Give the Eric Roberts Master a series. Have him cut about as like a weird CGI snake that gets executed by the Daleks. I say for some reason. I mean, the Daleks have good reason to execute him, but it was like a consensual execution, not on his part, but on like the Time Lord's part. They were like, "I Daleks execute the Master." Like that's something that you're into now, apparently. We should probably talk about the TV movie after this. I don't think it's on the stream. Yeah, it's not, because it ends with survival. It's probably like a rights minefield as the TV movie, because it's like a joint Canadian thing. But yeah, Legopolis is very math based. It's like the central concept is like there's this planet of like math people. Pardon me. A planet of math people that are keeping heat death at bay. And I've only gotten more and more into heat death as I've grown older. I guess ironically or unironically. But anytime you come at me with like, this thing's about heat death, I'm like, well, I'm entertained. They wanted to do away with the theme for the TV movie. Gosh, yeah. They probably wanted to do a lot of things for the TV movie. I think the TV movie's fine. It's weird that it's a continuation. You'd think that it would just be a straight reboot, but they're like, no, we'll get McCoy and we'll just murder him in that alleyway. It's like the worst. Like it's an okay. Like I don't mind that he's just killed, but it's really weird that McCoy's Doctor is the one that's just killed, because he's the big schemer. He fights cosmic gods. He's been planning for centuries or whatever, and he just like opens his door and there's just a street gang that guns him down. And I guess you could say that's kind of poetic or whatever, but it's never sat right with me. Not for the fact that they just do it to a Doctor, but they just do it to his Doctor. It's weird. It's weird they went that way. It's weird. It's weird for like a billion reasons, and I kind of like it and I kind of don't. And then the movie that's attached to is a film, and Big McGann is a hell of a man, and he's never really stopped being the Doctor, because I feel like they started doing those audio dramas in like '99 or whatever, so that was only like 3 years after the TV movie, and he's just been at it for 20 years being the Doctor. If you've not seen or if you've not heard any of Paul McGann's audio dramas as the Doctor, get yourself on Spotify, because there's just hundreds of them for free, and have yourselves a night. Again, was a wasted opportunity, but like I say, he has just been the Doctor for 20 years. Go watch Blood of the Daleks. I keep saying watch because I'm a watchman, but go listen to Blood of the Daleks on Spotify. It's a banger, and it's him and it's a series they did to be more, to make his kind of stories more New Who like, because it was like New Who had come back, and they is McGann the longest serving Doctor then? I don't know. I think once you get into like Big Finish, it gets weird because Seven, because like the first story they did was with 5, 6, and 7, and then those actors, Davidson, Colin Baker, and McCoy, have just been doing it since then as well. So, and also they got Tom Baker back at a certain point as well, so he's still currently being the Doctor. So basically, everybody that's still alive is still the Doctor. It's like when you're the president of America, you step down after your term, but then you're still Mr. President. You're still Mr. Doctor. We should probably be talking about Logopolis. There's these math people on a planet that are doing math all the time, because this is the era of Doctor Who that's big into math being a superpower, and they're like, they're keeping heat death at bay. Correct me if I'm wrong about the plot of Logopolis, but that's what I got from it. Also, there's like a TARDIS that materializes around another TARDIS, and there's just Wonky walking about, and like a kind of Escher TARDIS, and the Cloister Bell, and the Watcher is a thing. I always thought the Watcher was a super cool thing in Doctor Who. It affected me as a youth. I always thought it was a very kind of I don't know if it was like an effective plot, but it was an effective kind of bit of like, ooh, what's that? And like, I don't really think it's ever like, no other regeneration goes down the way it does, and it's not really said why. I suppose there's maybe like a line about how like the Watcher had to be there to help the Fourth Doctor ease into the new body or whatever, and you could fans speculate about why, I guess, but. Is it because he was the Doctor for such a long time? I don't know. But I always loved the Watcher. And, Tegan's like aunt, is it her aunt that drives her about and then gets murdered to death by the Master? And he's like, because the Master has this weird thing about turning people into like action men. And it's like a tissue compression eliminator or something. So he shrinks you to death. But like, it's a weird obsession that he has. I don't quite get it. Like, why specifically shrink you to death to the size of an action man, other than that, action men were hella handy and they could just use it as a prop. It's an oddity. It's definitely an oddity. I quite like it though. And then the Fourth Doctor dies falling off a thing. But he does die falling off a thing saving half the universe. And there's a lot that gets said about the Master, and like, how the Missy kind of arc, and like the Master just wants to be the Doctor's pal. The Doctor uses that on Death's head to take him down from Transformers scale. Oh, that's great work. I love the Death's Head Doctor Who. I love how the whole Transformers UK, the character of Death Head, was like a Transformers thing, but it was because it was Marvel UK. He crossed over with all of their properties or whatever, so he's like interlinked with Doctor Who and stuff. I didn't know about the tissue compression eliminator making him. Oh, that's good. I'm gonna link me to wherever that happened, because I want to read that. But yeah, the Doctor saves half the universe, and like people are like, "Oh, he's the best Doctor ever," but he just fell off a thing and died. He saved half the universe, to be honest. And like the Master, like later on in his life, just wants to be the Doctor's pal, and it's this kind of modern thing, post Dragon Ball thing. If you want the bad guys to be on the team, your hated rivals, no matter what they did, you can forgive them. The Master kills half the universe. Like, I'm vaguely certain that's like the stakes of Logopolis, and he gets away with it. Like, he just murders half of the universe, like in 1980, like just absolutely, like that's half of all life just dead, and then like it's never addressed. Like, it just happens. Like the Doctor manages to save the other half, the half that like Earth's in. I feel like the half that Traken, like where Nissa's homeworld gets destroyed. Like, it's a horrible, like it's a big silly cosmic scale thing, but like that's a thing that the Master did. So I don't think you can really ever forgive him. Like, as much as you want him to be on the team, maybe remind him about the time he murdered half of all known life in existence. correct me if I'm wrong. I'm vaguely certain he kills half the universe. Canon. And then you get into, is it K9 and Company that do a wee bit of filler with? I watched K9 and Company last year on Twitch. It didn't look great. Didn't look great. I like K9. I haven't mentioned him. I may have mentioned him like once in this entire video series. K9's a cool guy. I'm fine with robot buddies. I think he's a pretty good robot buddy. He got laryngitis that one time. I should have probably mentioned that in Destiny of the Daleks, because they kept having to make like up excuses why they didn't want to bother bringing the expensive prop out into the quarry, or because it couldn't work. But like they had to keep coming up with things, and I think that's fine. Like, I'm sure it was a dumb budget decision at the time, but I feel like people like associate K9 quite strongly with Doctor Who. You know, like the Doctor and his robot Doug, even though it was only there for so long. And he's got his uses. They got some like great emotional stuff out of him in School Reunion. The Master killing half of all life before it was cool. Yeah, he killed in the 80s. He just, he got himself a new body, and then the first thing the Master did after getting a new body was like killing half the universe. He was like holding it to ransom. Okay, like it wasn't just like a kind of genocidal mood that took him. He was like, no, I'm going to hold it to ransom because he wants to dominate all life. People forget that he's the Master. Like he wants to control things. It's not that he just wants to kill things. That's where I feel like John, because the whole John Sim thing where he became everybody on Earth, that was just like an inch away from what he wanted to be, basically. But yeah, I forget how it goes so horribly wrong that he ends up killing half of known life, but he did. K9 and Company, I wish there was more episodes of that. That seemed like imagine an 80s like spin-off of Doctor Who. Like what a rich vein of fun that would have been. Even if it was just horrendously naff or whatever, you could still watch and enjoy it and laugh at it. So, and I mean, they eventually got that Sarah Jane spin-off off the ground. Russell T put all his like hopes and dreams behind it. He made it happen. I've not actually watched any of the Sarah Jane adventures other than the ones where the Doctor turns up. That was just kind of a curiosity at the time. I don't know why I didn't watch them, because I was big into Doctor Who when knew who was back. It's probably just because they're on like CBBC or whatever, and I didn't have, and they were just like always on. I feel like I was bamboozled at the time because like with Doctor Who, when it's coming back and it's like 13 episodes. But like my main memories of the Sarah Jane adventures being on was that it was just always on, and I'd missed most of it before I even got into it. And I'm sure I could go to Kex and pick up the DVDs for like £1. So while I'm buying series of Primeval to semi-hate watch, I might do that. That might be fun. Because I hear people really like the Sarah Jane Adventures. If you like the Sarah Jane Adventures, chat, let me in. Bye. Then you get Castrovalva, which I want to say I like. It's one of those ones I want to say that I quite like, because it's one I refer to as Big Castrovalva. It's Davidson's first. It's a very like Regeneration Crisis kind of heavy one. Is it the first kind of Regeneration Crisis? Because 2's one doesn't exist anymore. 3 isn't really a crisis, because Doc 3 is like he's in bed for like an episode, but then he's up and about. And then 4, he's a bit manic, but then he is just taken down that robot. 4, so I feel like this is the first proper Regeneration Crisis-y kind of thing, and that's quite a vibe that fans, they always speculate about that. You always see when a new Doctor is announced, and then there's like, you see production pictures or notes or whatever, you see like kind of tone stuff coming out, and you're like, oh, what if this first episode's like a Regeneration Crisis kind of thing? Capaldi's first episode was very much that. It's very much that vibe of him not being on his game, and Tennant's first episode was very much that. He was in his jam. He was asleep for most of it. James says, I liked it. It was more Doctor Who while the main series was off. Yes, yeah, it was like that's kind of the vibe. I love the BBC's shows for that, because when Doctor Who was off, they'd fill it with 2006's Robin Hood or Merlin. Or I feel like there was a third series, but I can never remember what that third series was. And I suppose Sarah Jane was very much just more Doctor Who, like more Slitheen, if you like the Slitheen. I feel like they did a Jadoon episode even. And I've seen people really talk about it in loving terms, and I think I was probably just a wee bit too old for it at the time. I was probably like, what? That's like a kids thing. I don't remember, but yeah. Castrovalva, because this is an on-topic video. Castrovalva is very white. It's got very silly 80s humans, like silly 80s Doctor Who civilian types and silly hats. There's a lot of walking about that forest for a couple episodes, and like there's a lot of like Doc 5 not being anywhere near his game yet, which is a vibe. And I feel like it picks up. It is only 4 episodes, isn't it? Let's have a wee look at let's have a look at Castrovalva here, if you think it will load. Yeah, Castrovalva, it's only 4 episodes, so it's quite brief. I thought it was quite a strong classic Doctor first episode, really. It makes me think of Five's era a lot, which I think is a good kind of watermark or benchmark for good episode. Like, even if it's not quite good, it's quite memorable in a way that makes me think of the character, which I can't really say about Robot, because Robot's very much a third Doctor episode. It's very much a unit episode, and it's very much like they are neo-Nazis and there's like a moral thing going on. It's not like specifically the things you think about of Fourth Doctor stuff. But Castrovalva to me is very, very, very Fifth Doctor, and I know that sounds dumb because it is a Fifth Doctor episode. I'm going around in circles here, but I think you get what I mean. And then Four to Doomsday, right? I have distinct memories of Four to Doomsday. I watched most of it last year. I thought it was good. It felt like a spaceship run aroundy kind of thing. It had like pickle aliens. I don't think they were meant to be pickle aliens, but I always think of them as pickle aliens. It's these like kind of jowly, like green people sitting on thrones. They're coming to Earth or something, and like they've got humans that remind me quite a lot of kind of hologrammy kind of vibes from Red Dwarf. I don't really know why that connection exists in my mind, but it does. It's the one where they've got like loads of like people from Earth from various eras, and then there's like a drone that the Doctor has to outsmart, and he does a bit of cricket. It's like a serviceable 80s Who episode, I want to say. Nothing kind of outrageously bad about it. There's quite a lot of the Doctor goes and looks at a thing and does a thing. Like, it's a very good kind of, I say very good, it's a good kind of example of like a first adventure together on your game kind of thing. Because Castrovalva, Doc 5 is very much off his game, but like Four to Doomsday, they're out and about doing stuff. He's doing doctory stuff. You know, I wouldn't say it's like anything to go, watch out, but we're going to do our picks of the day in a second. Four to Doomsday, and then Kinda. Kinda's like one of those classic ones that I had not seen like any thread of before last year on Twitch. So it was great watching on Twitch. I had a hell of a time watching it on Twitch. It's I guess I don't know what the best way to describe it is, but it's kind of like a space Africa kind of thing, like a it's the future, but like they're kind of the civilians, the people of the time are kind of the British Empire, and they're out in kind of uncharted lands. It's very kind of imperialisty kind of. They've got those hats, like, when you see their hats, you'll know what I mean. And they've got like mech suits, and I was enthralled by their use of mech suits. Basically, it's a box with like dumb robot hands, but it's like a crisis survival hazard suit thing. I bloody loved it. It was great. There's like an evil snake god, and it's a pretty well like developed and produced and realized evil snake god that like possesses folk and drives them insane. There was an incredible meme in the wee ad breaks between Twitch videos last year that comes from Kinda/Kinda, or however you want to pronounce it. It was great. It was great seeing that meme. That was one of the other things about Twitch. They had all these incredible memes in the ads, and then it was great seeing them in the actual episodes. And Kinda's one was probably the best. It was probably the best. Other than London 1965, it was probably the best bit of memeage in those trailers, and it was the best moment seeing it in the episode because it was even better in context. I can't specifically remember the wording of the meme, so I won't spoil it by trying to fumble my way around it, but it was pretty good. And then that giant snake that they I thought it looked pretty good, to be honest. I feel like a lot of people say that it's kind of a letdown because like people really praise the story for its like writing and its kind of character work, but I feel like it gives Tegan stuff to do. Yeah, it definitely gives Tegan stuff to do. I was going to say it doesn't, but like I'm thinking of its sequel because we'll get to that. But yeah, Tegan has stuff to do. Like I don't know if it's Tegan's very much the Ryan of that team because I feel like Nissa's the one that doesn't get stuff to do. I don't think she's as bad as Yaz was last year, but like she's very much kind of close to that. But yeah, it's good when companions have stuff to do. And that snake, I thought that snake was fine. Like it was a giant snake on the BBC's budget. I thought it was particularly well realised. I have to defend that snake. So yeah, it's a very solid night of Who. It's kind of sad to see the Fourth Doctor go so soon, but that's just because 7 years have been condensed down into like 5 nights or whatever it's been, if that. Doctor Who is on 24 hours a day currently, so when you condense it down to that scale, it's pretty brief. But yes, what is going to be tonight's pick? It's an unusual bunch. I'll probably say Castra Valva, to be honest. I know half a State of Decay is onto the night, but we picked that yesterday. I mean, I could just pick the same episode for 2 nights, and that would be funny. No one's holding me to account. But Castra Valva is a heck of a time. It's watch it for yourself. If you don't agree with me, that's literally fine. But pick of the night, Castra Valva. It's fun. It's very white. There's a lot of kind of very early 80s sci-fi concepts on the go. It's a laugh. Pick the monster pick of the night is a bit hard, really. We're in a kind of period where there's not that many, I want to say memorable monsters, because we'll shunt State of Decay to yesterday. Warrior's Gate has those lovely cat people / hairy men. Keeper of Traken, I feel Keeper of Traken doesn't really have, it has that statue that is a TARDIS, and I do like its design. K9 has K9. I don't even know what the plot of K9 is, to be honest. Castra Valva has the Master and concepts. Forward to Doomsday has pickle-looking folk, and Kinda has that giant snake. And we're just going to give it to that giant snake on the count of it being the most monstrous looking yin. It's a well-realized snake. Yeah, I feel good about that. It's a well-realized snake, Kinda. It's a fun, evil, early 80s snake god, and it deserves your attention. I feel quite bad, actually, saying that Castra Valva was the pick of the day when I should have said it's Kinda, but I've said it now, so yeah, go watch those episodes. If you haven't seen any Fifth Doctor stuff, definitely seek out the Fifth Doctor elements. It's probably easier to watch it in the morning or however you young people consume streams, but if you can isolate those Fifth Doctor episodes, definitely do it. It's a vibe. It's early Fifth Doctor. I guess all of Fifth Doctor stuff is early 80s, and it's a better vibe than the late 80s of Who. I know I'm a big fan of Seventh Doctor stuff, but like Sixth Doctor stuff that we'll get into in a couple of days is kind of like the kind of overindulgent, big, excessive 80s that you hear a lot about, and early 80s stuff in Doctor Who, it's very kind of BBC micro. That's how I separate it and subdivide it in my mind. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. We've got a Patreon now. It's Craig's Girthy Toys over on the Patreon. Go help us out. We're definitely going to get a better bulb. We're definitely going to get another bulb for the lamp, and we're going to get some WD-40 for the squeaky chair. I've tried to contain my moving about this episode. I don't know how much it's helped, but yeah. Thanks for watching. I will see you tomorrow for, I think, bangers. I know I'm always promising bangers, but what's on tomorrow? Okay. Oh my goodness, yes. There's some bangers on tomorrow. Like, yeah. See you tomorrow, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye. I'm pressing the button.